Okay, hi guys. I just wanted to recap right now that I've been following very closely to the spoilers on MTG Salvation for all the cards coming out in M11. Mostly because right now I'm kind of deckless. I like the idea of blue-white tap out, but at the same time, I don't really know if it's going to be viable come the new set coming out. It's hard to say really. October rotates pretty much everything important in the current meta game, I guess. Like, everything's gonna be gone come October. You're gonna lose Conscription deck, or at least how you know it Conscription deck, and you're gonna lose Jund pretty much entirely. So many good removal spells and so many good cards are gonna be gone, and it'll leave us pretty much wanting when it comes to the loss of O-Ring if they don't spoil it. There are certain things that really make me angry, yet again, that I haven't seen O-Ring, but also that I've only seen Condemn and the spoiler for White, and they haven't shown a Path to Exile reprint, which is kinda bothersome, but at the same time, I can appreciate the fact that they don't want to give people mana. I don't think they really looked ahead when they created Path to Exile, knowing that Zendikar would be so mana intensive. Anyway, I think I want to talk about, mostly right now, the idea that the old Planeswalkers, the original 5, are going to be reprinted, or at least we assume, seeing that, everything that's been spoiled has a title like Garrick's Companion or Jace's Erasure. Let's talk about those. And I've had a lot of complaints, or at least I've heard a lot of complaints, rather, and I don't really see the reason for people to complain about the original Planeswalkers being reprinted. See, to me, they're very nostalgic in a sense that they touch down on the original benefits of the colors that they're in, whereas some people just don't see it this way. So I guess what I should do is point out, in my opinion, the many benefits of said Planeswalkers and how they could be used in constructive format. Let's start off with a Johnny Goldmane. Alright. Johnny Goldmane, though he seems less excessive than Elspeth, he's not pumping out dudes left and right. He is viable for a white weenie deck, which, if you've looked at Zendikar and some of Worldwake, there are a lot of white weenies that came out, which means you could probably build a decent mono white deck. I know I ran a mono white control deck at the beginning of Zendikar for a while, and it actually worked out really well. And the only reason I switched over was because the metagame changed slightly, and Jund became more dominant again. This was back in January or so. No, February. Anyway, I kinda regret doing that, because it was only a month or so that the metagame was so intense on Jund that you couldn't play something else. And now I think white weenies are yet again good. So, a Johnny Goldmane is amazing for this deck. You might think Elspeth would be better, but the problem with that is you can't really plan to use Elspeth for very long because she does cycle out in October along with the rest of Alara. Hence, no more Jund and no more Naya and no more Grixis and no more all these cards and decks that have been so prominent in the format. Anyway, counters and vigilance from a Johnny will be amazing on white weenies. The idea that you can run a semi-Kithkin-y deck, and I'm saying that loosely because nothing will be Kithkin again, or at least nothing I see in the near future, but you most definitely can have a deck with white weenies who get 1/1 counters and have vigilance, which is really good, along with Honor of the Pure and maybe Martial's Anthem, depending. Martial's Anthem late game is way better than Martial's Anthem early game. The idea that you can bring something back to the battlefield is amazing. Especially with some of the angels in, the format. I really like Admonition Angel, and I think it could work. Also, Baneslayer's coming back, so you might as well. Anyway, moving on to Jace Belleron. He's card draw. Any deck needs card draw, especially a control deck or something similar. I'm not saying aggro's gonna want it, but if you're playing blue, there's not really a lot of aggro going on. So, think about it this way. Is someone gonna hit your Jace Balaron with a lightning bolt, or are they gonna think that you have a Jace the Mind Sculptor and wait to hit that? Or just hit you instead? You should have the counter spells to keep your Planeswalkers protected regardless of what you play, but still, it's really good to have, you know, the card draw so you can draw into those counter spells, or your win condition, whatever you happen to base it off of. Anyway, let's move on to Liliana Vess. Liliana Vess is not a terrible card, in the slightest. She's actually pretty amazing. The idea that you can make someone discard their hand in this format is really good. Hence Lightning is so popular. It's not the 3 damage. Trust me, they'd just play Lightning Bolt if that is the case. But the fact that it, you know, makes someone discard 2 cards is pretty good. So, Liliana Vess can make your opponent discard 1 card, and sometimes that's the most important thing to do. I mean, when someone has 1 card in hand, it's either something really terrible or really amazing, so you might as well take your chances. Liliana Vess also tutors, and the idea of tutoring something up is pretty good, especially with Conscription deck, and the whole idea that, you know, Sovereigns of Lost Alara is gonna cycle out soon, because that leaves you with very few options as to what to run. You might as well try a deck with Liliana Vess. I mean, if you're gonna mana ramp out, you can probably make the 5 mana it's gonna take, even if 2 of which is black. I don't know. I like the idea of Conscription deck with Liliana Vess. Anyway, let's move on to Chandra Nalaar. Now, Chandra Nalaar has been kinda iffy for people. For a while, everyone was so excited about Chandra Ablaze, but to be honest, that didn't pan out so well. And that's okay. I'm sure she'll find her spot. But Chandra Nalaar is really, really good in control decks, especially Rune Flare Trap deck. The idea that you can ping someone for 1 creature or, you know, whatever is pretty good. It usually finishes something off, right? Oh, I just forgot. She only pings players for 1, doesn't she? A little less good. It's the X ability I'm talking about that'll ping creatures, which is pretty good. But only a control deck. Don't try and run her in aggro. That's no good whatsoever. Her final ability, if you ever got to it, is really good. The only problem is, it's really good. So it's really expensive. It's generally how things go when something's really good. Okay, moving on to Garruk Wildspeaker. Garruk is all about the mana ramp. Or making dudes if you need dudes. But generally you want it for mana ramp. And then, once you have enough dudes via ramp, and, you know, all that, you can overrun, and that's always a good thing to do. I mean, why not, right? There's no kill like overkill. So I want to talk about 3 new cards out of the new spoilers that I really like the looks for. 2 of which more so for draft, but 1 of which because it was a good card and now it's back. Let's see. In green, you have Garruk's Companion, which in draft is amazing. He's a 2-drop, 3/2 with trample. Oh my god. I mean, if that saw constructed play, I think it would be decent, but more so is the idea that in draft he becomes a mini bomb. A 3/2 for 2 with trample. It's too good. It really is too good. Let's see. In blue, we have Diminish, which turns a creature into a 1/1. That's pretty good. That is actually really good. I mean, what happens when you come head-on with a Baneslayer? You have your Sphinx of Jawar Isle, and they have their Baneslayer. What do? How do you take care of it? Diminish works really well. There aren't a lot of kill spells in blue, so you might as well make it teeny tiny so you can take it on. Anyway, finally we'll talk about Condemn. It's coming back, and I'm a little hurt because Path to Exile wasn't spoiled, but the fact that Condemn is back, pretty good. I mean, Condemn is one of those cards that everybody was like, it's okay, meh. It's way better than Path to Exile, in my opinion. I don't like giving people land. I really don't. Anyway, so, I guess that's it. Also, I was told I should sell my underwear on eBay. Tell me that isn't funny.